Could you represent yourself and where have you come from?
Well, my name is Marc Lewis. I'm with Deloitte & Touche. I'm a corporate finance partner for CIS, for Eastern Europe, for Deloitte & Touche. And I also am a fundamental participant and member of the Deloitte Technology Group, which has a global presence in supporting technology companies and venture capital.
Could you underline the most key figures which were on this panel?
The key figures, well, the individuals themselves, I would ask you, to speak to them themselves, but the main things that the panel brought to this discussion, and by the way, it was a wonderful panel. They had a very, very deep experience with Eastern Europe, which doesn't have a lot of experience in it yet, in terms of the investor side to venture capital. And so you had the real life experience of those who are trying to invest in Eastern European technology companies, who also have international experience at the Silicon Valley level, and obviously represent very educated groups and very educated investors and that sort of thing. And so what they bring to the table is real world experience with the companies that they represent, the companies and ideas that they are searching for, the Eastern European way of doing business and the possibilities of Eastern Europe, and being able to answer the questions that every entrepreneur in the audience is asking and wondering how to get to being a funded company, and to being a funded company that's successful. These guys can tell you. And so that was an immensely useful panel for the entrepreneurs to hear, because most of the people in this group are early stage or startup companies. So it was a wonderful panel, and I would encourage you very much to speak to them individually. They'll have a very, very deep depth of knowledge that I'm sure they'd be happy to share with you.
How would you characterize the Eastern and Central European market?
In terms of
investments.
In terms of investments, in terms of technology investments, Eastern Europe has the unique situation of having a talent pool, a brain pool, that is considered as good as any in the world. It's always been that way. Look at the entrepreneurs that have already succeeded in Silicon Valley. As some of the panelists mentioned, some of the companies that are funded in Silicon Valley have either support networks in Eastern Europe, or are directly based upon Eastern European discoveries or Eastern European entrepreneurial activity. So the talent is without question. The bridging of the talent to try to get the marriage between Western money, Western know-how, experience in the venture capital world, with the Eastern European-based companies, that's the difficult thing to bridge. And why is that? Because technology is based mostly on intellectual property. It is the idea that's important. It's the execution, of course, but the idea. Who owns the idea? And those types of properties need to have strong rules of law, strong understanding of that you're safe to invest in this sort of environment, and that the government, that the laws will protect you, that the banks, that the financial institutions will not somehow, financial regime will not impose taxes or unfair business practices to you. One needs to understand those things. So the technology side exists. The security side of making your investment secure isn't yet bridged to the way that one would like, and that's the biggest challenge that the region faces. And that's what everybody is trying to accomplish through these efforts, through the development of Ukrainian business model of the technology sector, and so that the West becomes more familiar with Eastern European abilities, so that the companies understand how the West works, and so that the governments will hopefully listen to support both and encourage the development of the sector in Ukraine. So that's what needs to be focused on.
How do you think this conference will help investors to find right startups?
It's a good and very, very necessary first step. As venture capital is always interested in a good idea, a good team, and good execution. They're looking for it every minute of their day. And the entrepreneurs need to know what it is that the investors are looking for. They need to know how to present their ideas to investors. They need to be able to communicate whatever their ideas are and convince investors that this can work. But they also need to convince investors that they are the type of people that investors can work in the same group with. It's a marriage. Venture capital and an idea, it's a marriage. And you have to work together. And so what this does is exposes both to the other. And it's an absolutely necessary first step, and it's long overdue. Again, the skills in Eastern Europe are not questioned. And it has taken too long for that to bridge itself into a way to make the investors secure that this is a good place to put money.
Thank you.
Thank you very well.